On this episode of the John 1911 podcast, the Navajos say Navajo. 320 fire control groups are available. A rubber bullet between the eyes, and Kamala is Swahili for a side chick.
Okay, good evening, everybody. This is Danny, Marky, and Freeze, and this is episode 182 of the John 1911 podcast, and we are doing a special evening edition because I've been busier than a one-armed paper hanger, and so, you guys are chomping at the bit like, let's do a pod at 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, well, let's do a pod at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, let's do a pod at 8 o'clock at night. They're like, come on, Marky. So here we are. So.
Yeah, well, what can you say?
I know. I'm still dealing with armory stuff, and we've been crazy busy, and I think you're off now, right, this week?
Yeah, I'm off this week. I know you wanted to talk about
Hold on, I think I kind of might have lost you there a little bit, Freeze. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, something
yeah,
happened.
I know.
There, so.
No, originally wanted to do a pod like Wednesday morning, but then I was working Wednesday morning, so it's been a crazy week.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell? I mean, us retired guys, we expect you to be free, but Freeze is like, okay, this is my work week, this is my off week, and every time I talk to Freeze, even though it's my off week, I've got to go in and do stuff this day. I've got to go in on that day and do stuff. It's like, holy shit, dude, you getting time off?
No, but look, here's the thing. For a retired guy, you're busier than I am half the time. So shut up.
I have been crazy busy. But you know what? I'm the kind of guy. If I'm not busy, I'm not happy. So I'll tell you what. Before we get too deep into it, I wanna take this time to just give some condolences to a fellow in the industry. And so this guy had been around for a very, very long time. I don't know if a lot of the younger folks, even today, would even know who this guy was, but his name was Jeff Quinn, and he was a YouTube content creator, online creator. I'd say online writer, video guy. And he has a YouTube channel or website called Gun Blast, if I believe I have that correct. And so, but Jeff Quinn had been around a long time. If you've ever seen him on the internet, he had a very long gray beard. Like sometimes it'd even have braids in it, and he talked like a good old boy from Southern Tennessee or parts of West Virginia or Kentucky. You know what I'm saying? Like he was a very unique guy and a very real guy. And in the year 1999, he and his brother had a crazy idea. They got tired of reading articles in gun magazines how every gun that was written about is the greatest gun ever. And what do you know? Right there next to that article saying it's the greatest gun ever is a full-page ad from that company. And even he was able to put two and two together, and be like, say, we should put some stuff up on the interwebs so people can know what's really going on. And so for 20 years, Jeff Quinn banged out stuff that he was interested in, whether he was someone that appealed to the broader audience today, because most people I think the tactical world has kind of superseded maybe his audience, but he was always talking about revolvers and Rugers and lever guns, and he knew a lot about hunting and knew a lot about a lot about things. And he'd been sick for the past couple of years, and he passed away, I guess, a couple days ago. And just wanted to acknowledge his presence and wish his family the best, and our prayers to everyone over there. And we're sorry to hear about what happened to Jeff Quinn. So, okay, I'll go ahead and get off that now. Yeah. So I'll have a link up maybe to his story, maybe on our comment section. Just maybe some of our readers. I mean, think about it. We think of ourselves as being a young industry or a young genre. Jeff Quinn was doing this before 9/11. And think about, Freeze, how much the gun world has changed since 9/11.
Oh, I mean, he was probably doing this when everyone still had dial-up and AOL.
A lot of people, I mean, yeah.
Hey, watch that.
No, I mean, actually, no. As a matter of fact, when he was doing this, I used to work for a company that's in this training side, and literally they had dial-up, like for real. They had dial-up.
Yeah.
Because, their facilities way out in the boonies. And yeah, it's think about like how all the ARs have changed, just since the first war or the second war in Iraq. Like, the ARs changed, and the rifles changed, and and gear changed. Like, gear exploded after 9/11, and especially after the second war in Iraq really kicked off. Like, things, and he was years before that. And it's just just respect to the guy for seeing the future.
Well, and a guy like him was needed in our industry. I mean, he really was, because I quit reading and buying gun magazines, oh my God, probably 25 years ago, because I hated exactly why he started up his site, because it's like, oh, okay, you never heard a bad review. Everything was the best thing since sliced freaking bread, and it was again, filled with ads. I mean, it was just bullshit. And I would buy like gun magazines more geared for like milsurp, because I'm big into milsurp. Or hunting magazines where they'll feature a product, not so much like a quote unquote guns and ammo magazine where they're just pimping product. I mean, because, it's like, okay, milsurp, like U.S. Military Surplus magazine, I think was one of them at one time. And it just featured like U.S. military firearms, and they did articles on them. And, they're not pimping new product and stuff. So, but as far as like your standard run-of-the-mill mainstream gun magazines, I quit buying those years ago because screw them. They're bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's a clue. Like, no matter before the internet and before people could get on, turn on a camera or take a photograph and let the world know, hey, this gun doesn't work. I guess I got a Friday gun. I guess I got a Monday gun. Every pocket rocket that every company ever made was a great gun that functioned perfectly and didn't suck to shoot. And it was like, there's a clue right there that, how out of control it was. It was just, just crazy, it
was. Well, and it still is. Like, if you go to a news rack, a store that sells magazines, and buy a handgunner, I believe is one of the current ones on the market, and flip through it, I defy you to find a negative article in there. I really do.
Yeah,
because every gun they feature is awesome.
Articles. Yeah, you never found negative articles, and I remember like the general rule was. Like only really like the NRA magazine would really give true accuracy data. Like a lot of them were just they wouldn't really show groups or how they were producing groups, or they wouldn't compare guns, or they wouldn't compare products, because product A came from a company that advertises, and product B that's really popular. Well, we'll just dance around that subject. So yeah. It's just a very very interesting thing, and he's the guy that kind of he predates. I don't know. Think about who's the oldest gun channel person like on YouTube right now? Would you say, like, is it maybe Mac? Maybe, or Nothing Fancy? Maybe Nothing Fancy and Mac.
See, I don't. You know what? I can't even really give you an answer on that. I mean, nothing fancy. Hickok 45, Mac, Demolition Ranch. All those guys have been around for a long time. But honestly, I don't know who's the oldest, and I don't really know. There could be people out there that are a lot older too, because I mean, there's a lot of gun channels on YouTube. There's a shit ton of them, and honestly, I watch a lot of YouTube, but I probably don't watch 90% of the gun channels out there. I mean, I selectively pick the ones that I like, you know, and I think a lot of people are like that. I mean, you know, like I don't watch Mac on a regular basis, but I do watch him, you know, because he's got good stuff, you know, and I pick what interests me. I don't watch like every video he puts out, but you know, and it's the same way with like Ian McCollum. I love Ian McCollum and I love his content, but I don't watch every video he puts out. You know, it just, you know, but he's in my subscription list. And it's like, and if, you know, if they, you know, if a video pops up and it's like, ooh, yeah, I'm going to watch that, you know. So I honestly, I mean, they've all been around for a long time. I don't know who's been around the longest, though.
Yeah, well, but think about this. So here's an interesting kind of like overlap with Jeff Quinn and Gun Blast, you know, because he's not Mr. Tactical. He's more of a, you know, I don't know how to call it, like, you know, average American gun owner, you know, but really a pretty deep enthusiast though, like pretty knowledgeable, even though he you know, he's not tactical, but you know, he knew what he was doing. There's the NSSF has released a breakdown of top gun sales for so far in 2020 from January 1st to May 31st, and most of it's coming from Gunbroker. But I think they're getting it from some other places too. And this list has some problems with it. Like some of the things, you know, like they break it down by revolvers. They break it down by, you know, what they call semi-auto pistols, lever guns, semi-auto rifles, and all that kind of stuff. But it's interesting. So like revolvers, number one selling revolver according to them is the Ruger Wrangler. Number two is the Colt Python. Number three is the Smith & Wesson 642, which is really the first CCW gun on the list. Number four is Heritage Arms Rough Rider revolver rifle, which doesn't make any sense, but, you know, like the list is kind of screwed up. Well, let's see, what else do they have here? So the top 10 semi-auto rifles under the age of 50. First one, according to them, is the Ruger AR-556. It's not an AR, but Ruger, okay. Well, why not? Ruger's reasonably priced. You know, the Ruger AR-556 is a Jeff Quinn kind of product. You know what I'm saying? AR from a company moderately priced. Some people would like them, some people wouldn't. So you're like, okay, what's the next gun here on this list? This is under the age of 50, Kel-Tec sub 2000. Okay,
I buy that.
Yeah,
I do. I buy that. I question Ruger because, I mean, and I don't have any data to go by, but the Smith & Wesson Sporter AR-15 is really popular.
Oh. Number three, Smith & Wesson M&P 15. Number
there
four.
You go.
Okay.
Wait,
no. Hold on. Number four, Smith & Wesson M&P 15 Sport 2. Number five is another Smith & Wesson. Number six is a Springfield Saint. It's like my point is like Arrow isn't on here. Daniel Defense isn't on here. Who's another of higher end, AR. None of these hot shit AR companies are on this list.
No, because the truth is your average guy, and look, a lot of these higher end, I don't want to say higher end, let's just say hot shit ARs. Those cater to the guys that are big AR fanboys, big AR guys. Now, the average guy, I'm just talking about the average dude. who's a gun guy. Maybe he's got, 1 or 2 guns. Maybe he's got 10 or 15 guns, but he's not a AR guy or whatever. Goes to a local gun store, picks up a Ruger, picks up Smith & Wesson, maybe even a Bushmaster if you drank your crazy tea that day. But, because it's reasonably priced, it's a good product, and for the maybe 3 or 4 magazines a year they're going to shoot out of it, it's going to do the job. Not saying that Rugers and Smith & Wessons won't go the long haul. I mean, hell, CPD carries the Smith & Wesson in their cruisers.
Actually, remind me, I have a CPD gun store I want to get on this podcast because I was getting calls about it. But let me give you, because this, and we'll get off this, but I want so I'm sure our audience tends to skew younger. They tend to skew, they're under probably the age of 40. Looking at the data, and they're more interested in more modern type stuff. Like they don't care about a Smith & Wesson 686 or a Ruger, single action gun.
Yeah.
So here's the top 10 semi-automatic pistols, January through July of this year, according to NSSF. And again, this isn't totally comprehensive because their data isn't. They don't have all sources because they don't have national registration. But it's interesting. Number 1, Sig Sauer P320. Number 2, Smith & Wesson M&P. Number 3, Springfield Hellcat. And you're like, okay, I'm not that good at the Hellcat, but pocket rocket gun. Number 4, it's just listed as Glock 19 G19. You're like, of course, the Glock 19, the most popular Glock in the world, is the G19. Number 5, Sig Sauer Sig P365 Nitron, which is one of those variations. Number 6, H&K VP9. Now this is interesting. Number 7 is listed as a Glock G19 Gen 4 because they're blowing out the Gen 4s because they're going to stop making them. And so people have been buying the Gen 4s because they're cheaper than the Gen 5s. And I thought that was, and then, 8, 9, and 10 are an XD, a Beretta M9 A3, and then number 10 is a Ruger 57, which is that 5.7 pistol. And it's like, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm surprised that's on the list. I'm just so shocked.
The only gun on that list that surprises me is the 5.7. And honestly, it probably shouldn't surprise me because the 5.7. It's not, I don't want to call it it's not like.
Well, okay, hold on. Let me answer. Let me answer the question that you want to ask. Hold on. The Ruger 5.7 is not a $1,300 pistol with a jacked up safety on it, which is what the FN 5.7 is.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what jacks that gun up. It's got jacked up ergonomics, and it's $1,300. Yeah. And it's like, why?
But the 5.7's getting a pretty solid following these days. I mean, it's coming along.
Yeah, it's kind of it's revived interest in that caliber. It's like, okay, that's interesting. Why not? It's it's so cheap money. Yeah. Like I don't know what a 5.7 costs, but there's people like, look, will we buy a Ruger 5.7? Probably.
No.
Well, no, we will. Here's the thing. Eventually, we'll have one in the armory as a reference gun, the same way that we're going to end up with a Smith & Wesson Governor and as a reference gun. It's a gun of a time that they're hoping it'll sell. It'll hit its peak. It'll drop. You'll get them for nothing, and we'll eventually pick one up to have it because eventually they'll disappear and it'll just be a reference gun.
True.
Yeah, we're not going to buy one like, hey, can call a dealer like, hey, can you get us a 5.7? It's like, fuck you.
One will come across the secondhand showcase at a reasonable price, and
yes, that's exactly what will happen. So.
Yeah, I say because you were saying, well, we have one. It's like no, because we're not going to go out and buy one. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if used one comes across secondhand showcase and it's a reasonable price, it's like hell yeah, we'll get it.
It's your pink panty theory. Freeze has a theory, and he said this publicly. He said, He says everything is cheap enough; it's worth buying eventually. He said.
Yeah.
He said to me once. He goes, "If I find if you pink, what's it called? How'd you say it? A women's pink thong or women's pink."
Yeah,
pink,
no, I said this was back in our early T-shirt days.
Yeah.
We were talking about selling, and I said I'll sell anything. I said if I can pick up women's pink panties at, what did I say? I don't know,
25 cents.
$1 a piece or 25 cents a piece. I said I'll pick up 1 million of them.
Yeah, you were I'll take a whole shipping container of them.
I'll take an entire shipping container of women's pink panties at 10 cents a piece or whatever dollar amount. I mean, hell, this was probably 6-7 years ago when we were talking about it. I said, but the point is, if I only sell a quarter of them, if I only sell 25% of them and I throw away 75% of them, I'm still going to make 10,000 times my initial investment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I will buy anything if it's cheap enough.
There does come a point when something becomes so cheap, you're literally like, I have to buy this.
Okay. It's like this, like let's take the High Point. Everyone shits on the High Point. I mean, look, they're cheap. They run, they function kind of. They're garbage. They're boxy. Ergonomically, they suck. There's not a whole lot of positive points on the High Point except the MSRP. But the truth is, if someone comes up to me, and I'm not talking about buying them out of the trunk of a gangbanger's car, but if someone legitimately comes up to me and says, hey, I've got 3 High Points that I bought when I first got into the gun game and I need to get rid of them, I'll sell them to you for $75-$80 a piece. I'm going to buy all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Do I want a High Point? No. Will I shoot one? No. But you know what? One will go in the reference library because we don't have a High Point. And the other 2, I'll sell to someone for, $100 or something and make a couple of dollars on them.
I'm trying to think. I don't think we have. Last time I took a High Point off a kid.
As far as I know, and you should know this because you've been doing armory inventory with the move, we do not have a High Point in the armory.
No. There was a Jennings pistol. That's a different story we probably should not tell on pod.
Probably not.
Actually, as a matter of fact, I found 2 things this week that you would be surprised in.
Did you happen to find my 1911 9mm?
No, we have not found your 1911 9mm, but we did find your laser rangefinder. It was in a 5-gallon bucket with some tools that had been taken out to the range and then brought back, and then the bucket was put in the tool area, and it was in the bottom of some tools. So we found your laser rangefinder. It's been missing for 2 years? Maybe 3?
Oh shit, maybe 3 years. Yeah. I mean, it's been missing for a long time.
And then the other thing we found a collection of knives, mostly switchblades, that I have taken off of people in fights, and I keep them as trophies. And here's the thing. For years, I've always only really talked about this one knife that I took off this person at working. And we found 2 more, and I was like, oh my God, I forgot about this one. And then, oh my God, I forgot about this one. There's a like once I saw the knife, there's a full-blown switchblade, like one of those cheap you push the tang or whatever, and it flips out. Like it's like, oh my God, like it's like really
like the old cheap Italian switchblades.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's a super cheap. Oh my God!
I have one of those. It's on my desk down in the shop. Okay. I have one of those cheap Italian switchblades. It's garbage.
Yeah. So we're finding all kinds of stuff in inventory and going through stuff. So I thought you'd. So no, we haven't found your Filipino pistol, but actually, I
mean, look, no pressure here, but I'd like you to find it one day.
Hey, stop busting my balls. We found your laser rangefinder. We actually got into a fight about it because you were like, you have the laser rangefinder. I'm like, we do not have the laser rangefinder. You're like, you have the laser. I'm like, we do not have this over here at the armory. I don't know what you're talking about. Oops, and we have it. It's in a bucket in the tool area, not in the vaults. So
which I actually need that here at the house. So when I'm like bore sighting in scopes, I mean, it's a garbage rangefinder, but for what I want to use it for, it will work fine for that.
It's for archery, right? It's not even like a really long range thing.
No, honestly, out past 200 yards, it's not worth a shit.
Yeah, it's super short range.
It's a cheap short range laser range. It's actually made really for like deer hunters who are like archery hunters or shotgun hunters.
That's
where honestly you really don't have, when your shot's anywhere from 20, 30 yards to 150 yards, that's what it was designed for. I mean, it wasn't designed to like range 600, 800 yards or anything, which the rangefinder that we've got now that we're using is good for that.
That's good for a mile. Oh, hey, by the way, the pink panty thong thing, not every gun that you have to buy is a cheap high point for $75. Because actually, I'm going to go ahead and give this example. This week, you remember this. This week, we did a video. Some guy was like, "Hey, can you give me an up close view of the Wild West Copilot gun?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure," because we got some time over here, so I just threw a camera up and just did it real quick. And it was not a shooting video; it's in the armory.
That's a cool gun. That is one
very cool gun. Well, if you remember, and I don't want to say all the details on pod, but there was a cop, and he had the Copilot, and he initially had approached us with a different deal for this Copilot, and then he threw, and it was like, because we were going to do a trade on some things, and he was like, he worked out on the East Coast, and so we were going to do this big trade, and then he's like, well, would you guys be interested in just doing cash on the Copilot? And it's like, well, not really, because we got all this gear we're trying to get rid of. And he gave me a price. And I was literally like, I have to buy this. I could literally turn it around and sell it for $1,000 profit. I was like, how can I was like, I remember, and that happens. That's, if you're in the gun game, you got to keep your powder dry, because you got to be ready for when a deal comes across your desk. You got to be like, bam. And sometimes that deal isn't a $75 high point. Sometimes that deal is a multi-$1,000 gun, and you're like, wow, that's half off.
Exactly. But I tell you what I like about the Copilot. I mean, people that follow us know that I am not a huge fan of lever action rifles. They're just not my thing. Nothing wrong with them. I'm not shitting on them. It's just not my thing. I'm not a big lever action guy, but my son-in-law hunts with a Marlin lever action and 44 mag, and it's a sweet shooting gun. And that Copilot, we were out at Mitchell Range with it several years ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, and for $45.70, I was banging steel at, what was that? I think it was like an 80-yard target from the picnic table.
We did 80 and we did 100. And the thing is, you were able to put it irons on.
I'm telling you what, irons on as fast as I could throw that lever. I was banging steel at like 80 yards.
And it was a piece of steel that would be the kill zone on the deer. It wasn't, and we're not talking like this giant piece of steel.
No, it wasn't a giant slab. It was like, I don't know, maybe 14 by 14.
Oh, no, it wasn't that big. No. That plate was like 10 by 8.
Yeah, I mean, and as fast as I could throw that lever, I was nailing steel with 45-70. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it was, and because that gun is so smooth and it's got that big John Wayne loop on it. And I mean, it's just, man, that gun is just smooth.
Yeah, it's a nice. I mean, for what you pay for it, it's a nice
Oh yeah,
gun. It's a nice gun.
And what the co-pilot cost, it should be a nice gun.
Yeah,
'cause it's not
they're
cheap.
knocking on the door of like $4,000. So hey, speaking of which, because I know you've been waiting because you're a big SIG fanboy, right?
Yeah.
SIG has announced they're selling the fire control group separately now. The 320.
Oh, really? Nice.
So check this out. You could buy the fire control group from SIG. You could get the grip module from Wilson for it's not a whole lot of money.
Oh, it's like $65, I think.
And
for the Wilson.
Yeah, and you're ready to rock.
Oh, dude. Yeah, well, see, there you go. That's my next purchase.
Mm-hmm. So I thought that was a good deal. So Wilson's been pushing that 320, and I've been seeing some good things about that. So nice. And one more thing. There's this new holster that Blackhawk has been coming out with. I've been waiting for them to come out for 1911 versions. They just announced this week. They've because they did Glock. Everything was Glock. It's Blackhawk's holster that's going to compete with the Safariland retention holsters. Like they're that good. Yeah. Not the Serpa, but this is a new one.
Yeah, the Serpa's garbage.
Yeah, it's really impressive. And they've now announced they've come out with a 320 with a light holster now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and again, you can get them. They're I don't know, like $60 or $80. And like you don't have to wait 6 months for a retention holster like you do from some people. It's crazy.
Exactly.
So I mean, it's like the 320's coming on strong. So
yeah, man, I love that. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. So I've been looking out for you.
Let me. Well, I appreciate that. I really do. But let me tell you some interesting antique Remington information.
Well, everything Remington's going to be antique. Looks at the way they're bankruptcy. But yeah,
well, no. But, okay, this is interesting because I just sent you my latest video that I did. I've got another one that I'll be sending you probably tomorrow.
Okay.
And then I'm pretty much done with the Derringer / pocket revolver Remington series. But for those that are following the Remington series, don't get me wrong, there's more coming. But I'm kind of caught up on the area that I'm working on right now because this hoard, or we'll call it a cache, is massive. But
we're classing it up here with a 50-cent word, a cache.
Okay, but check this out, and you'll find this interesting. Okay, so in the video that I just sent you for editing, everything in there, the production run was from 1876, 1877 to 1888. And if you watch my previous videos on the Derringers, like the ring Derringer, and the zigzag Derringers and the saw handle Derringers, their production always ran up to 1888. And why is that? Because in 1888, guess who filed bankruptcy?
Get the fuck out of here.
I shit you not. In 1888, Remington filed bankruptcy, and out of like the 30, 40, 50 designs of firearms they were manufacturing, basically they shut everything down except for 2 or 3 of their main line guns because they had to restructure and get their shit together. But yeah, all these Derringers, with the exception of the M95, which is the over-under, the old cowboy Derringer everyone's used to, with the 2 barrels over and under. That's the only Derringer that actually survived the 1888 bankruptcy and moved forward.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
okay, so you know what? You get a gold star for stringing through 1888 and 2020 news on Remington. Gold star. Yep. Holy cow.
Which brings us around to the Remington bankruptcy.
Second time in 2 months? So even boy, you know what? Even the Navajo, apparently, we talked about this on podcast. Remington and all these companies, they're all in trouble. The people want out of it. They have debt. They have to service. There's all these problems. And there was the Navajo Nation had expressed interest in possibly purchasing Remington. And I had expressed, I thought, well, how neat is that? That in America, you know, everybody gets a chance to make money. And you know what? If the Navajos, if I assume they own casinos, they probably know a little bit how to make a buck. Now they get to buy Remington. I think that's a very uniquely a Remington story, a uniquely American story, until obviously the Navajos got to look at the Remington books and said, white man speak a forked tongue.
See, but hold on a second. I got another data point on this. The video that I just uploaded for editing deals with a little, the smallest revolver that Remington made, and it's called the Iroquois, named after the Iroquois Indians. So I didn't mention it on video, but I in my mind, I'm thinking, God, I wish this was called the Navajo. You know, but hey, you know, I mean, if the Navajos did buy Remington, maybe they could reintroduce that little revolver and call it the Navajo.
You know. Well, apparently, I think it would. You know what would be really fun to see? I don't know if the Navajo nations, if they have a reservation and a Indian police, or if they have a casino and they've got security. But I bet you dollars to donuts that their police force probably does not carry Remington. So, you know.
Well, you know, but what's interesting, when I did the video on the Remington 1890 revolvers, the U.S. government gave a lot of those 1890 revolvers to the Indian police out on the reservations.
I can see that. That would make perfect sense because we've always done that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the Indian police have a history of carrying Remington revolvers.
So wait a minute. Sure. Now, wait a minute. You have now come up with a financial theory on how the Navajos are going to corner the market. So they are obviously sitting on a cache of Remington revolvers from the original bankruptcy. And they spoke to their brethren who's looking at the Remington books, and they said, listen, let Remington collapse. So all the Remington revolvers that we have on the res are going to go up in value, and we can make bank. That's the current insider trading theory.
Well, look, I'm not saying that the Navajo Nation has warehouses like the Russians do of old surplus firearms, but you know, hey, why not?
Hey, you know, but one of the buildings is named Custer. No, I'm kidding. Wrong
ouch.
I couldn't resist. Ouch. I couldn't resist. So, Danny.
Yeah, I'm here.
So he's been very
sorry, Danny.
We have been
hang on. You know, Freeze, with your Remington knowledge, I guess that's just your genre, and that's what you're good at.
Hey, look, I don't even claim to be an expert on Remington. I mean, this is a learning experience for me as well. I mean, in some of these old antique Remingtons, there's just not a lot of information out there on them. I'm just blown away that I get to sit there and fondle these things. You know, I mean, they're amazing.
So,
well, I have something very quick. You guys are going to be shocked at. I actually have some gun content.
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
All right. I was reading an article on the proposed gun and ammunition shortage. So, it's not supposedly, they did show the prices. A round for a AR is now averaging 45 cents a piece. The same round for the AK is 24 cents. Why is that?
Because the AR is the most popular rifle in America, and everybody buys them. And there's a bigger market, so there's more demand.
Well, let me ask you this, Danny. Is the price they're quoting on the AK round, is that like Wolf or Chinese or Russian made ammo, or U.S. made ammo?
You know, it is U.S. made ammo from what I understand. But I'm just trying to figure how the AR is double the price. Is it price gouging? is what I was wondering.
I have a data point. I have a data point on this. So a couple things. I mean, I can't be specific, but you know, how do I say this? The Armory, we work in tandem and parallel with certain groups that buys ammo in fairly large quantities, and those groups are now having to go to tier 2 suppliers, you know, because they're ordering 20 to 100,000 rounds at a time, and they're getting pinched. And I know for a fact that one ammo manufacturer that I won't name, they're having they can't even get primers to make their ammo.
Well, and
but there's one more thing. The demand for ammo now versus what it was during, I think, is it Sandy Hook? The demand for ammo now run is 13 times greater. It's
I believe
13 times more than what it was even back then. This is the worst I think it's ever been.
Danny, I was telling Marky earlier today when we were talking that I know a guy who just bought two 50-round boxes of 9mm ammo. I don't know the brand. I didn't bother to ask. But he bought it from a local gun shop, and he paid $45 a box for 9mm.
Are you kidding me?
No, I am not kidding you.
Wow.
Blew me away, you know. But which is interesting because, you know, Marky just mentioned the primer shortage. Well, I was telling him that there's an aluminum shortage right now. That's why, like, if you go to the grocery store, like, and you buy soda, you'll find, like, Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, Coke, Diet Coke. You'll find the main stuff. But, like, you know, if you want to buy, like, some of the off-brand stuff, like caffeine-free Coke or caffeine-free Diet Pepsi, you won't find it on the shelves because there's an aluminum shortage. So what they're doing is they're making their main sellers, not that they can't make the product to go in the can. They don't have enough aluminum to make the cans for their off-brand shit that doesn't sell as well. And so we speculated, and we have no clue that this is even remotely real. But if there's an aluminum shortage, that could possibly be a reason why there's a primer shortage.
Manufacturing ammunition, I'm kind of guessing here, is probably what I would consider, I could be wrong, light industrial. Like, it's not like having a smelter next door. Primer manufacturing is heavy metals and full-blown industrial. Like, most people can't make primers. No. They couldn't even get the zoning to do it. And like, I don't know all the components that go into a primer, but I thought it was interesting that the aluminum shortage, I'm guessing that the aluminum shortage is probably because of China. That tells me how much aluminum is coming into the country. And didn't Donald Trump, complain before they negotiated the NAFTA 2, was it the whatever you call it, Mexico MFTA, or whatever they call it, but basically the renegotiation of NAFTA. And he was complaining that China was, I think, taking aluminum and dumping it in Mexico illegally, and then Mexico was able to sell it into the U.S. market under the NAFTA and claim it was Mexican aluminum. And if that's true, and now because of all the disruptions out of China and how intermingled everything is, that seems to confirm my suspicions that I bet you this aluminum shortage is related to China. I mean,
I honestly, I mean, I can't sit there and say with authority that that's the case, but I have to agree with you. That would be my speculation as well. And I think the odds of us being right opposed to being wrong are it's greater that we're right than wrong. I mean, in my opinion.
Well, speaking of China, Marky, did I send you that video on the Chinese laser lights that Antifa is using that have blinded the policemen?
There's been reports, and it's been going around the law enforcement circles. This has been talked about for probably about a year or two. The need to probably have eye protection that defeats lasers for eye damage. And I know there's been some reports out of is it Portland? Some federal officers may have suffered eye damage.
I've heard that as well.
Yeah, that's.
Well, I'll find the video and I'll send it to you guys. It actually shows the Chinese laser that they are using. The people are buying these things on the cheap, and it's something like 6,000 times more powerful than your basic laser light. A fraction of a millisecond can blind you. They turn the laser on, and it actually burns wood and sets paper on fire.
There's two.
I've seen advertisements for lasers like that.
Well, here's the thing. That brings up 2 points. Number one, because in the U.S., who regulates lasers? Is it the FDA? I think the FDA regulates lasers in the U.S. I don't think it's the FCC for some reason. I could be wrong. It could be the FCC. But like even in like for weapons, you'll have weapon-mounted lasers for you stick them on your handgun, you stick them on your rifle. There's typically two versions. There's a civilian legal version that's down-powered because it's not as likely to cause eye damage. And then there's law enforcement military versions that are a little bit more powerful. I don't think they're 6,000 times more powerful. But if this is truly 6,000 times more powerful, I suspect that it's coming into the country illegally. I mean, they're shipping it in through Amazon, but probably not even technically legal to have it in the U.S. But that brings up a question. And I when I was hearing these things happen in, out there in wherever, in commie land, it's like, at what point are we as a society, not only law enforcement, but civilian, you're out there in the world. It used to be, like you would see the little red or green laser, like someone using it to aim, using it as a sighting device. And, it used to be like this argument like 15, 20 years ago, like if you saw the red laser, you better duck. Someone's about to shoot you. Well, at what point are we going to become as a society, the second that you've realized somebody's shooting a laser at you, that it becomes a deadly force encounter and you start shooting them? And you'd be like, well, you can't shoot someone that's going to shoot a laser at you. Well, now, wait a minute. If somebody jumped on you and took their thumbs and tried to smash them into your eyeballs, you could shoot them. We're entering some very interesting territory here on use of force that nobody's thought about. Because, I mean, look, if I was a federal officer and I'm having to stand guard on one of these buildings and some fool tries to blind my shit with a laser, I mean, you make the argument that I can't shoot that kid. He can blind me, but I can't shoot him.
I agree.
No, I agree. I agree as well.
Mm-hmm. This is bad. This is unintended consequences of warfare that happens very quickly that people don't see coming.
Did you see the photo of the lady that has three eyes now from the rubber bullet?
I saw that in our group chat just today.
Yes, I love that. See, and I call shenanigans. I'm calling shenanigans on.
Well, you take a shot between the eyes. Shenanigans.
No. Hold on a second here. No, I'm not calling shenanigans on the fact that she took a shot between the eyes with a rubber bullet.
Hey, now
I believe that.
No Pornhub jokes.
No, this is no Pornhub joke. No, seriously, if you read the article of her account of what happened, there was a brass band playing on the left. Everyone was
at 2 in the morning,
linked arms, and she had her Nazi-style helmet on because it was like a little Kevlar military-style helmet, and she had goggles, and under her goggles were glasses, and she had all that paraphernalia on. Dude, when you look at that rubber bullet placement, and you'll have to post a picture of her face on in the links on this, There's no way she had her helmet on right with goggles and her glasses and took the rubber bullet where it hit. I'm calling bullshit on her story, on her account of the story. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying she didn't get shot in the forehead with a rubber bullet. I believe that, and she fucking deserved it. But I'm saying bullshit on the brass band, and I'm saying bullshit on her garb, and all the shit she said she had on. And they were peacefully protesting, linked arm in arm, singing Kumbaya and God Bless America and First Amendment bullshit. Bullshit.
Okay, hold on. I am so trying not to go down the rabbit hole on the politics, but you know what? We're gonna do this one. So I saw this story today because I just follow the big things out there. I don't need to know everything that's going on out there with all these commies. They're commies and they're going to be violent, and violence is coming. And I feel like it's 1855, and in 5 years, Lord knows where we're going to be, because these commies, this is all Marxist communist violence. This has nothing to do with anything. So there's an Antifa rioter in Portland, Oregon, that was made known to law enforcement. And why was he made known to law enforcement? Because he was wearing this tactical vest, this green vest that his grandma had bought for him, and she reviewed it online. And she bought it from where? She bought some website. And so, this is great. And so she puts a review: fast shipping, great vest. She goes, I got this for my grandson who's a protester downtown. He uses it every night and says it does the job. Own product for less than 1 month. Use this product daily. Incentivized review, yes. And then it was like, yes, I recommend this product. And she had a photograph of him sitting on a hood of a car with his mask and this vest. Well, it's like they figure out he's involved in, like, I don't know, setting a bunch of shit on fire. Like, they're like, wait a minute, is this that fucking guy? They're like, this is the description. Here's the photograph. And they look at the picture from Grandma's review, and they're like, well, what do you know? Let's go round his head up. And
I can't understand why peaceful protesters have to wear like a second chance. I don't get it.
Yeah. Oh no,
I don't get it.
Best part. It's a tactical vest, but it actually has it's not ballistic at all. It's like
there's no plates in it.
Not only is there no plates, it literally can't take plates. Like it's for airsoft.
So basically, it's just a load-bearing vest that you can make. It's got pouches for magazines or some shit like that.
It's not even truly rated for that. It's like an airsoft product. She probably paid $20 for
it. Show and no go.
So it's like putting on a jacket that makes you look tactical.
Yes, it's a costume.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's like she bought it off. Like you see these guys, like they put on their mask and they put on their whatever. They're all black, and you look at them. And I'm not trying to be a dick here, but you can see these kids, and they're all black and they're covered up, and they're walking around with their boots on. They're all they're all puffed up like they're big, and you look at them and like they've got arms about as big as freaking hot dogs and legs about as big as a freaking can of soup, and they walking up on people acting all bad and because they've got this costume, and they're not themselves. They're playing a part in like a play, like Angelina Jolie today. I'm a superhero, and they go up and then eventually they walk up on some dude that's like, what you gonna fucking do about it, bitch? And it's like, oh fuck, my costume isn't working and I'm about to get knocked on my ass because they see you for what you are. You're in all black and you're this tactical bullshit, but I see you weigh 120 pounds and you've never been punched in the face, and we're about to address that first problem right now. I love these fucking guys. So
no, you're right though. I mean, it's awesome, and it's amazing how many videos you can find online of these Antifa guys just getting knocked the fuck out.
Okay, I got to do this one because it's the ultimate irony. It's truly irony, and I want credit for it because I came up with it myself, and I want people to hear it first. So there's a story that came out of Aurora, Colorado, and Danny was asking about this earlier because Danny said his name's Samuel Young, and Danny said he looks like a Mikey from Orange County Choppers. And I was like, you know what? He does look like Mikey from Orange County Choppers. He really does. He's, kind of this soft-looking guy. And so just let me lay this out the way I see it, because I think this is incredible. So this group, Black Lives Matter, they typically, this all started, the argument is unjustified use of force, police brutality, egregious shootings, and and physical assaults of people. And there's this same group is all about like, why didn't you shoot him in the leg, or why didn't you shoot the wound? Like all these crazy bullshit, right? Okay, so this is like everything the cops do is wrong. The cops have a split-second decision to frickin' decide life and death, to figure out whether JoJo over there has a water gun or a real gun or what the fuck's going on here. So but these people, they want everybody to be perfect, and so they can hang their hat on, I'm protesting, I'm right, I'm righteous, you're wrong, I'm smarter than you because I have situational awareness, I'm more all this crappy horseshit. So Mikey from Orange County Choppers shows up at Aurora at one of these protests. And Mikey went out, and Danny, I'm hoping that this gun ends up on the trade market, so maybe we can get a discount on it. It looks to me like a Smith & Wesson Model 10 4-inch revolver. And he's at this thing, and he's open carrying it in a holster on his hip, and the holster doesn't even fit. Like you can see the trigger, but he's open carrying, and because he's building badass, he's got his costume on because today he's a superhero, right? So he's on this road. This looks like a fairly busy road, and I guess they're blocking the road or doing something in the road. And so behind him, something happens, and I'm not entirely certain what it is, but there was a Jeep that either deliberately or accidentally ended up in this crowd. Okay, this is a road, mind you, and this Jeep gets surrounded by the superhero kids. And I'm not certain if somebody pointed a rifle at the Jeep, or if the Jeep shot a gun at if there was gunfire exchange with this particular incident, because there's been so many of these the past 3 or 4 days. But something happened. There was a bunch of yelling and screaming, and the Jeep is like, and you're in a vehicle and you're in trouble. The first thing you do is step on the wrong skinny one on the right. Fucking just go. Don't fucking get out of your car. Don't fight around your car. If your car's mobile, punch it. And so they punch it to get away. And so this Jeep is now blowing by Mikey from Orange County Choppers. Mikey decides that he doesn't know what's going on, but he decides he's going to get into the middle of he runs in the middle of the road, pulls out his revolver, and starts shooting at this Jeep that's speeding away, that he obviously doesn't really understand why it's speeding away. He just figures it's speeding away, so I get to shoot it because I'm a protester and you must be bad. He takes 2 shots at the Jeep. Both shots miss the Jeep. He ends up hitting 2 fellow protesters, one in the leg and grazing one in the head. So Mikey's arrested. His real name is Samuel Young, Mikey from Orange County Choppers. And he's arrested because I just would love to see his text messages and his emails and his social media of every time he's criticized the police shooting being unjustified. And they shouldn't have done this, or they shouldn't have done that, or why did they shoot the tires out, or why did they shoot the guy in the leg, or why did they have to use their guns, or why did they have to chase him? When this guy, when the shit went sideways, he inserted himself into this drama. He showed up down there with a gun, which shows possibly, prior intent, and started shooting wildly at a vehicle that he had no reason to shoot at because it wasn't bothering him, and shot 2 people. But he's protesting police brutality. And it's...
Oh, and I'm sure right now he's all butthurt thinking he's been wronged.
Oh, yeah.
No, he's a fuck. He's a fuck. He is a
fuck. Well, here's my question. If we're surrounded in our car and they're actually trying to pull us out or anything, I'm not going to shoot somebody in the leg. I'm going center mass. And I don't know who else wouldn't do that.
You shoot the
Mikey,
stop. I mean, if someone's trying to pull you out of your car, the best thing you can do is hit the gas.
Yeah, look, but here's the thing. Mikey from Orange County Choppers, and when I say Mikey, I'm sorry.
Samual Young.
Look, if Mikey from Orange County Choppers is listening to this podcast, I'm sorry. I'm not referring to the real Mikey. But look.
The lookalike.
Honestly, I'm asking both of you guys, do you really think he's had any type of firearms training whatsoever?
No.
That's probably his grandpa's gun.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, it's a joke. But, Danny, let me ask you this. You've got grandchildren.
Yes, I do.
You have children, and you have probably, and I was talking to Marky about this earlier, you have probably been to many grade school and high school soccer games. Do you guys play soccer up there? Yeah. Well,
they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. I'm too old and fat to play soccer. But okay, so I was telling Marky this because Marky doesn't know about grade school and high school soccer.
Freeze told me this story and it's amazing, and it blew my mind when he made the observation.
It is. Okay, so in a soccer game, say it's 6th, 7th, 8th graders, whatever. They're playing soccer and someone gets hurt on the field. The first thing that happens is all the kids go into a kneeling position. That's so no one's running around kicking balls. The coaches can come out, and look at the kid, make sure he's okay. I mean, have you seen that?
Yes. Remember, I'm a licensed official.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, okay. There you go. So for a fact that if someone gets hurt on the field, all the kids go to a kneeling position. That's standard protocol.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so in Louisville, I guess it was last week.
The not fucking around.
You probably heard about this. The not fucking around committee was doing a peaceful protest with their tactical gear and their firearms.
Most peaceful.
Yeah, well, you heard the coughing there.
Oh, yeah.
One of the not fucking around, highly trained, highly motivated militia guys accidentally torched off around and wounded a couple of their other peaceful protesting members of not fucking around militia. But here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Okay, here's the thing. When I watch the video, and if you go in and look at the still pictures, after the guy torched off the round, and no one's talking about this, every member of if you look at still pictures of the paramedics in there, with the gurney, hooking up the guys, all the militia members are kneeling. I saw that, and I'm like, dude, it's like a 6th grade soccer game.
It's interesting, isn't it? As soon as someone got shot, they all went to a kneeling position. Super interesting.
Think about that.
That could be an example of people don't rise to the occasion. They default to their level of training or skill. And that's super interesting.
I agree with you. And I had read that the AD went off when they were doing a clearing chamber check. The finger was on the trigger.
Well, Why would they even be doing a clearing chamber check? I mean,
Yeah,
whatever.
you know what? Because people like to fuck with their guns, and the reality is, here's some advice. This is advice that like a lot of people today are carrying guns now. It's pretty common to see people carrying guns. I was carrying guns way back when it was very uncommon, and quite frequently, if people figured out I was armed, somebody eventually would go, "Hey, can I see your gun?" And the best answer to give is, "I'm sorry, no," because that's how accidents happen. It's nothing against you, but if I leave it in the holster and I don't mess with it, we're not going to have any accidents. And that's the best way to do it. Don't fuck with your shit. If you want to walk around with a loaded gun or a loaded AR, load that motherfucker up, make that bitch hot, put it on safe, sling it up, and go about your day. You won't have any problems. You start fucking with your shit, the fiddle fuck around, that's when the problems start. And that's exactly what these guys did.
Yep.
Lack of training also.
Well, just fucking immaturity. It's just, you can say the lack of training, but look, I'm going to say this because I'm in both worlds here, professional training side, and I'm on the, civilian consumer side. Millions of people successfully use firearms every day in this country with zero training whatsoever.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
So, some of it is like,
common sense,
like being responsible and not flexing. And what happens is, this happens a lot with people that have a new gun. And I'm not just saying civilians. This happens with police officers when they get it drilled into them not to do some of this stuff. But like when you start carrying a gun, you've never carried a gun before, especially if you're not around people that carry guns. It becomes this thing you like obsess on and think about, and like, do people see it? Can I see? What about this? What about that? And you eventually get to the point where you don't even realize you have it on, but you obsess on, like, is it in the holster? Is it right? Is the retention on? Where's the magazine? Did the magazine fall out, or is it out of battery, or is there anything? Is it still here? And people will touch it. They'll mess with it. They'll fuck with it. And the more you fuck with something, the more likely it is to bite you. And that's the number one rule that gets people in trouble. Don't fiddle fuck around with your shit. Load it up. Keep it loaded.
Much like the Democrats with Barr yesterday. You fucked around with it and they got bit.
I did not watch that, but I did hear they're all complaining about the fire at St. John's in Lafayette Park. And the pastors, because they're all liberal over there, all these liberal pastors, and they're like, Donald Trump this and Donald Trump that, and they're park police, and they came over and a photo op, and whatever, complaining everything about Trump and using them as a political prop. And Barr just goes, "Was that before or after the fire?" And it's just like
it was classic. That you could hear a pin drop. I'm reclaiming my time. Time because they didn't like the answer.
Technically, reclaim. And here's the thing. This is what's, and you can tell they all got together and I guess had planned that. Reclaiming your time is not actually. You cannot use reclaiming your time to prevent somebody from answering your questions. Like there was.
That's exactly what they did.
Thought, like, well, I can reclaim my time. It's like, and Barr's like, okay, whatever. But they actually can't. That's not the way the rules work. That's really not what it's for. But, like this one guy, he even had this prepared. He was asking, I don't even know who he was, but he was asking Barr about changing sentencing guidelines on various people and, and doing things. And he's this long, drawn out kind of, question, and then he takes a breath, and Barr's like, I guess I'm supposed to answer now. Barr goes, I've never conferred with Donald Trump on anything. I've never taken any direction on that. And then the guy, he keeps talking. He goes, and Mr. Barr, I know you don't want to answer that question. And Barr's like, I just answered the question. It was bizarre. Like it's you could tell. And then, here's the best thing. So this was a circus. Barr knew it was going to be a circus. That's why his prepared statements, he released them ahead of time. That's typical. We all saw the statement ahead of time. And, everybody knew that the Democrats, and look, Republicans do it too. Just look at the Benghazi hearings. Okay. They knew they were going to be on TV, and they were fronting and flexing to create sound bites so they could run ads in their districts for their reelection, because everybody in the House is up for reelection every 2 years. And they were basically there showboating for themselves. And, they didn't even let Barr answer hardly any questions. Wouldn't even let the man go get something to eat. And then the news, the headline came out and said, Bill Barr showboats at hearing for sound bites for political ads or something. It's total bizarre, like opposite world, like what's going on in Washington anymore. It's completely they accuse you of what they're actually doing, and this happens every day now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like they also said Trump wants to move the election date. No, he doesn't. Trump had said that with all this COVID and everything and these mail-in ballots, until they get it straight, we'll have to see what goes on. That's pretty much verbatim of what he said. The MSM plays it into, he's going to move the date. It's all over the headlines.
Well, you know what? Okay, look, some of this is good on Trump and some of it's bad on Trump. Number one, Trump is no dummy. And Trump knows when he even talks about any of this stuff, all he's doing is inserting himself into the news cycle so the media can go, Trump, oh my God, fascism. Trump knows that he's fucking with these people. Okay? I mean, but also on the other side, it's like, Donald Trump, why the fuck are you, he's doing this to himself. He doesn't need to say this. Everybody knows that the election in November is going to be a clusterfuck. They're already preparing for, unless it's like a blowout, they're already preparing for that this thing may be contested for days or weeks. Like, remember the hanging chads in Florida with fucking Gore?
Oh, yeah, I sure do.
So here's the thing. Here's why Donald Trump, why I was so hard on Donald Trump he is in trouble. Presidents on their second term don't generally expand their voting base. Barack Obama got more votes the first time he was elected versus the second time. He got more votes, okay, the first time. The reason is, after 4 years, you no longer can project your theories onto the candidate. The guy's got a record, 4 years of making statements, being a jackass, signing bills you don't like, and saying things that just piss everybody off. So his base shrinks. Donald Trump only won, the election electorally, but I've said it before, between 50 and 75,000 votes. And it's like between Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and maybe Wisconsin or something. But here's the thing. If it comes down to Pennsylvania, which has been a Democrat stronghold for a while, if it comes down to Michigan, Donald Trump isn't going to concede Michigan on the night that he loses. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to go ahead and concede. It's like, no. They're going to go in there. They're going to look at the counts. They're going to look at, the districts. They're going to look and see if the ballots were handled correctly. Was there anybody interfering with vote or preventing? It will be a clusterfuck unless it's a blowout. Like, for example, if Donald Trump handedly loses Florida, it's over. I mean, it doesn't matter if he fucking wins Pennsylvania. You know what I'm saying? So, if it's close, and here's the thing, Donald Trump only won, let's give him benefit of the doubt, about 75,000 votes. Is he going to get more votes in those 4 states or less? It's like, well, this could be a squeaker for Trump.
Well, Marky, it pains me immensely to admit you were right, but it looks like your girl, Kamala Harris, is on the super short list for Biden's pick.
Because Joe Biden is no fucking dummy. And the people that are running his campaign are no dummies. And people that listen to this podcast, I think Joe Biden is a clown. I think Joe Biden is a fucking jackwagon. Joe Biden is not even a real candidate. Joe Biden is a cardboard cutout on the back of a milk carton. It's almost August, and we haven't even had probably a press conference. This campaign hasn't started. It's bizarre. But here's the thing with Joe Biden. They know how to run a campaign. They're keeping him hidden, and he's not going to choose. He's trying to win the middle of the road. And here's what happens. These riots and this violence has only helped Kamala Harris. Because what can happen, and Frieza and I talked about this earlier, the biggest thing that could happen that would be bad for people that get way out at the front of themselves with groups or organizations or statements is if a black swan event happens politically. And we've had a close call with a black swan event. And most people will be like, well, Donald Trump winning is a black swan event. No, that's not true. The real black swan event we had was when that guy shot up the Republican baseball team. If he had killed a bunch of Republicans, that guy was a Democrat commie Bernie Sanders campaign worker, and it was political violence. And here's the thing. So, what does a black swan event look like? Okay, right now, the Democratic Party is using these riots and these rioters and these communists because it helps them make Donald Trump look bad. And someone like Madonna can get on during Trump's election or during the first whatever of his presidency, she got up there at a podium and said, quote, "Sometimes I think about bombing the White House." Well, a black swan event would be something like all of a sudden we get reports Madonna chartered a 747 and crashed it into the White House. And all of a sudden the narrative changes and people go, wait a minute, what the fuck? These people are fucking crazy. And what's happening is the more crazy the radical left looks, the more it makes Kamala Harris look like a safe choice because she's a state prosecutor. She's supposedly tough on crime. She's not a communist, we don't think, and she's safer than playing footsie with the Bernie people and black minority. And Kamala Harris in a pinch, if something were to happen to Joe Biden, could Kamala Harris functionally be president? The answer is absolutely yes.
I think
she's qualified. She's a sitting senator. She's held statewide office in California. She's been involved in campaigns. She is qualified. She actually knows how to be president. She can be president, whether you like it or not.
Well, I'm sure that they have some good dirt on her, though.
No, if you remember, this was.
I said, I bet you that the Trump campaign has some great dirt on Harris.
Dirt on her knees. She's got dirty knees, as far as I recall.
Yeah. She's pretty much, sucked her way to the top. But that's just me saying.
That's going to be really interesting too. It's like, is that going to? How she got her political start is not exactly what I would call something that the League of Women Voters is going to want to put on a brochure. She got her political start because she fucked the guy. She was having an affair with a married man who was, I think, the mayor. Was he the mayor of San Francisco? Was it Willie Brown?
Is that
Willie
proven?
Brown?
Is that proven though?
Oh yeah. They used to go out in public together. This was back. This is back like 80s and 90s, like Bill Clinton. Wink, wink, nod, nod. There are photographs of him and her together. She was his squeeze. It's California. Nobody gave a fuck. He was married.
Gotcha.
Did you also see where, I believe it was in Phoenix, where they firebombed the Democrat headquarters, the campaign headquarters, and it came out to be that it was actually a Democrat kid who said that his real wife is Trump's daughter, and they're going to have a immaculate conception child, and he's a Democrat.
You know what? No, I hadn't heard this, but this sounds like there might be a reason why, because this sounds like the plot. This sounds like a plot for the next Avengers movie. What?
Yeah. Yeah, you need to look that one up. That's pretty good.
So wait a minute.
Look,
so
I
wait a
mean,
minute.
as
So
far as the
finally, we have a story about the Trump family and sex that doesn't actually involve real sex. Like, really? Like, I mean, those people have fucked everybody.
look, I mean, getting back
Literally and figuratively.
getting back to Kamala Harris, though. Look, I mean, Biden has a very short list of people he can pick, because when you go into an election saying that my vice presidential candidate will be a black female, you got a short
Did he
list to
say
pick
black
from.
or did he say minority? I don't remember.
No, I think he said woman of color or something along those.
That you could drive a tractor trailer through that freaking hole.
But I mean, what the fuck? I mean, when you sit there and say, well, out of all the people,
A woman of color, dude, he could pick
brown,
Charo as his vice president.
yeah, but
That was good.
I mean,
give it to me, Charo.
Okay,
Yeah, but if he was,
but here's the thing: how many people listening to this will know who Charo is, though?
You know what? I'm old and I don't care. You know what? I should.
yeah, but you know, if he was to pick Elizabeth Warren with that mug, she could stop that tractor trailer.
Well,
so
who's that commie pro Castro bitch out in California that was on the short list? I can't remember.
Oh, is her last name Brown? I can't. I know exactly who you're talking. Yeah, she was backing Fidel all the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, but the fact that she was even on the list. Now she was at the bottom of the list, but the fact that she was on the list.
You sure this? Are you talking about the woman from Florida that was the police officer? Her name is
No.
Yes, no, she's from Freeze's right. She's from California.
No, she's from California. She was pro Castro up until the day he died. I think she was like one of these radicals that we talked about, like in the '60s, that like blew up federal buildings and shit. I mean, this woman is a full-blown freaking communist, and she was on the list.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I just realized something. We have a hard break coming up in about 90 seconds, and I want to get a couple crime stories in, then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. So the first one is just an aside. A local SWAT team, they had a call out because there was a tractor trailer running up and down the highway, and they couldn't stop it. And so they one of the teams they called up and they got the Barrett 50 and actually shot the engine out of the truck. And I thought that deserved honorable mention because, hey, some guy actually got to use a Barrett 50 for real on a call out. So
was that on 275?
Yeah, it was everywhere.
I saw a bunch of the dash cam video of that.
So, but here's the next one I want to give. So there was a video, someone videotaped it out of their window, and there's a woman, I guess she's pissed off at her ex-boyfriend, and she smashes the window out of a parked SUV, and she's pouring gas into the SUV. She's wearing a mask, and she sticks a lighter all the way in the car, and it ignites, and of course she doesn't realize the overpressure, it explodes and knocks her on her ass. And her mugshot, her face is totally, burned up except where she had her mask on. So I got to toss it. We got 20 seconds. So this wraps up episode 182 of the John 1911 podcast. If you want to see stories or pictures or links of anything we discussed, you can go to our website, john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.
See you later.
Bye-bye.